This task is from our graphing linear equations unit. This one specifically for graphing in slope-intercept form, where we try to identify slope and y-intercept. This is probably one of our shorter tasks, meaning it's maybe about 10 minutes at the most. We really want students to analyze part 1 completely and then part 2. So have them in their random groupings at the vertical spaces so that they can analyze the equation and the graph. Now, the students have been able to look at how to find slope from a graph, how to connect it with the table, and then 2 points. So we're trying to make the connection between equation, graph, and other methods of finding slope. So for sure, we know that our students will be looking at that graph and they can focus on the rise over the run. We just really want to emphasize that the slope ends up being the same as this part of our equation. Now, students may not focus on that part right away, but they are going to write down what the slope is right here. We're also going to say, hey, if you were told that the y-intercept was 1, even if you have no clue what the y-intercept is, how do you think that connects to the equation in the graph? And it's more just a prompt to get them to start thinking. Some of them might say, okay, well, there's a 1 right here. They might focus on the graph and actually see that we have an intersection of the y-axis at 1. We don't really have it intersecting at a 1 over here or anything like that. So there's just a little bit of information that they can try to connect to. We just want to kind of get them thinking. Again, even though they don't really know what y-intercept is. So we just want them to be able to explain their thinking on the connections that they made before they move on to part 2. So this time they're given a graph, and we want to know, is the point 3, -1 a solution? And then justify. The reason they're given a graph is to maybe see, okay, can I see that this line intersects 3, -1? Or can I plug it into this equation to see? This one might take a little bit more thought process, as some of them aren't exactly sure at first how to justify that is a solution or not, and then just being able to explain why. Sometimes they're like, well, it's just not going to show up on the graph, or, oh, I don't know, I don't think it's going to work with that equation. So we really want them to have mathematical justification for what they're doing. So make sure in that consolidation piece that you're really asking their thoughts about the y-intercept, as that's going to be very important in this lesson. We also definitely want to focus on questions about slope in relation to the equation that you were given. Kind of start letting them know and giving them those prompts and hints that there is a connection here. Also, as far as the solution on the bottom, that is going to also be part of this lesson. So we want to make sure they understand what we mean when we're saying, is that point a solution to this specific equation?